Welcome to the Ultimate Guide for Diversity and Inclusion Hiring. My name is James Blumendel and I work for BeWork. We're putting together guides for each step of the hiring process to share the best research and inspiring examples of how to make hiring welcoming and inclusive to all people. Today we're going to talk about how and where to advertise to build a diverse applicant pool. Below the video you'll find a step-by-step guide to do your own inclusive advertising. To the left of the video you'll see the other guides we've completed. Today I'm talking with BeWork's diversity and inclusion hiring expert, Luth Iglesias. In the last two videos, we talked a lot about how to show job seekers that your company and your jobs are going to be exciting and welcoming to them through careers pages and job ads. But how do we make sure that job seekers are going to hear about these jobs?
Great question, James, and it's a topic we get a lot of questions about. And I'll start by addressing networking. Networking is a terrific way to access candidates, and it has some really clear pros and some really clear cons or disadvantages. The advantage of networking is that you're likely to encounter job seekers with whom you have a high level of trust because you know them or you know people in common. You're also likely to encounter candidates that share your values and your way of seeing the world, and I know that's particularly important to B Corps. The disadvantage of using networking as a way to attract candidates is that you can end up unintentionally with a work team that is homogenous. The reason for that is that we're likely to associate with people who are similar to us in demographic terms or in socioeconomic terms, and if we hire only people we know, there's just a much higher chance that we're going to hire people who are not particularly diverse from one another. However, there's a way to use networking that has the opposite effect. The light bulb went off for me when I heard Patty McCord, who is the former chief talent officer at Netflix and a very influential person in people and culture. She talked about using networking in order to build diverse candidate pools. And she gave the example of a company that was complaining to her as a consultant about lack of access to women, talented, qualified women candidates. And what she advised them to do was go to every single person on your staff and ask them, who's the most qualified woman you've ever worked with? Write those people down, interview every single one, ask them who's the most qualified woman you've ever worked for, and suddenly you have access to far more qualified, talented women candidates than you did at the beginning of the process. So that's a way to use networking to deliberately target people from underrepresented groups.
So if we did that at our company, we have 150 people. So in one walk around the company, we'd have 150 new female applicants to interview, and if we asked those people, we'd have 300 applicants. That's a great long-term strategy to be able to increase the diversity of our applicant pool. But what if I have a hire to make right now? It seems like the faster way to fix that would also be to use job boards. But which job boards should I be posting on if I want to increase the diversity of our applicant pool?
Great question. I think you have two choices when it comes to using the job boards to attract diverse candidates. One is to use the big job boards, Indeed, LinkedIn, Monster, Craigslist. And the other is to use, and I'll talk about that in a second, but the other is to use niche or specialty job boards. Niche or specialty job boards are those that target a particular type of job seeker, either a particular profession, a particular demographic identity, a particular geographic region, and there's a lot of niche job boards that specifically target diverse candidates. And James, I'll say in my experience as a recruiter, I have experimented with using niche diversity job boards a great deal, and my opinion or my experience is that those job boards have not radically increased the diversity of the pools that I was looking at. I think because they don't have a very significant reach. So they just don't reach enough people to really change the stakes. What I would advocate and what I have had great experience with is take a really great job ad. So a really interesting, meaningful job ad that specifically calls out your diversity and inclusion values, that clearly indicates you're a welcoming company, and take that job ad and put it on the big boards. Take that job ad and put it on Indeed, put it on LinkedIn. Then you're showing hundreds, maybe thousands of job seekers that you're a welcoming organization, a welcoming community, And that's really going to increase the diversity of your applicant pool. So I think that's much better return on investment.
If you've tried diversity job boards that have worked for you, we'd love to hear about them. Please leave a comment below. Under the video, you'll see the guide that shows you how to create your own inclusive network and how to best use job boards to increase the diversity of your candidate pool. If you have any more questions about how to create an inclusive hiring process, send us an email. We're happy to help. We'll be back in a few weeks with our next guide on how to remove bias from your screening.